Um, Everyone's on mute, so I don't know if anyone else is listening from out here, but we can't hear anything.
Thank you, Dave.
Oh, you're welcome, but maybe the meeting hadn't started yet, so sorry for missing the first part.
It was just the election. You didn't miss anything. Okay, Judy.
Oh, looks like Springdale will come up first. So rather than discussing any detail, we've all seen these reports in a very similar but not quite honed form. And so I don't think we need to go through the meat of them. It was really formatting and trying to make them less confusing that we've done since the last meeting. So are there any, do people have any issues with Springdown? Anything in the way it's organized or the way it's formatted, or things that should be there that were there before that we inadvertently dropped off? Or Megan and I went through this obsessively several times, and we tried to integrate it so that all three of the reports now say weed whipping instead of sometimes weed whipping and sometimes weed whacking and that kind of thing.
You have addressed my concerns from last week, so I don't have any additional comment. When I read through, I was able to follow along much more easily, and it flowed much more clearly for me. So I don't have any comments.
Anybody else have any concerns or anything standing in the way of our approving them tonight? So just as a reminder, the reason these were put together was to give them to the town manager and the head of public works. They had requested that we do this job of making for them a scope of work for these important town-owned properties. And so the meat of it is to produce something that they can give out to bid. And it has a longer than usual intro just because they're both new to the town. All right, in that case, if everybody is okay, I move that we approve all three of these reports, Springdown, unless, does anybody have?
Could I ask a question?
Oh, sure, sorry, Rebecca.
So just out of curiosity, for the fourth weed control that happens in August, where it says mow low and leave thatch, is that in?
Are you on Frog Pond?
That's Springdown, I think.
Down. That's what's in the packet.
Right.
Is that in compliance with the fire department? I don't know what their rules are in
What,
terms of
Judy,
mowing and.
you're looking, that is not in the, she's looking at the spreadsheet that was,
No, I think that's a sentence in the
It's a
scope of
separate-
work, is it not?
no,
Oh, it's
it's a
not there?
separate item,
Okay,
separate item.
Okay, well, that's the only item, the attachment A, that's all I see.
Yeah, the rest was attached last month.
and we will have with the several previous mowings at critical times. There's not much thatch. It used to be when they only mowed for fire once a year. They mowed in July and everything was this tall and there's lots of thatch, but so we're doing it now, that doesn't happen.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay,
Second,
so do I hear a second? Second. All in favor? Aye, so moved. The document you're looking at is just, I just rewrote it. This is the existing document from Public Works. And I just added it. It's not part of the packet. It gives a nice idea what they used to do and how they called it. Yeah. And it might be useful for Robert to just see it if he might already have it anyway.
But you updated it to match what's in your,
No, it is just a snapshot of what we know in 2023 was defined the way it is. Okay, so then we're done with that. Wildlife corridors. Well, I jumped over the ADU, right? What, Judy, what? It's deferred. It's deferred. Yeah. So the most important point on item C today is Jasper Ridge told us that they would give us a tour and share with us their education, their initiatives, their corridor ideas. And what I would like, yeah, it's really exciting. And 8 people max, so that will work, because Nona says she isn't going, but maybe she will. And so what I would like to do today, because I need that, is this is for January, and let's come up with 2 or 3 dates. And if we can't do it today, can we do it by tomorrow, by the end of this week? Because I need to get back to Jasper Ridge and give them dates.
These are usually during a late morning on a work day, right?
We can do it anytime. It can be in the afternoon. This is going to be a tour for us, pretty much
So
open.
are there any parameters, Marianne? Is it 7 days a week that we have to, so for those folks who have full-time jobs? And
I think it's during the, no, it's every day. Okay, then we would go for a Saturday maybe.
Should you just send out a doodle kind of thing and let everybody do it? rather
Yeah,
than us all
I'll do a doodle.
our schedule?
Thank you. I'll do a doodle, but please respond because I need to respond. Okay. And I think it's going to be really good to do that. All right. Then the other thing is about the apps for doing the inventory on birds, butterflies, and flowers. I have met with a birder, and she showed me a number of apps, and I have a pretty good idea what to use. The issue at hand is, so it's easy to get people excited about the app to use, like Merlin is one of the apps, to say, okay, what bird is this? And then the app will tell, this is a red-tailed hawk or whatever, butterfly. But what generally is done then, and what's his name, might have an idea, the data are just entered by hand or they are entered into the Cornell database. There isn't an app that I know of that would take the data I find about my backyard on birds, what I find on my backyard about flowers, to share with you. And so I am not an expert enough to say, do we need a custom written app that takes the data and puts them into a repository? Or could we just have a website out there? A website would be easy to produce, and then people take their Merlin or whatever they're using, and then they are entering the data in the website. I have a feeling the website solution is a faster implementation than going into the APIs or whatever we need to do to get the data out of some apps. So that's just the update right now. We don't need to discuss it in the need of brevity, but we can.
I just have one question, which is, what is the goal?
Okay.
What are we trying to do? Because that might fashion.
The goal is to share what's in your backyard. Maybe we'll go out and motivate kids in the schools to do a competition, who has more flowers, who has more whatever, to get community involvement and to get them more excited about wildlife habitat, wildlife corridors, and wildlife-friendly fencing. So the goal is always the same. Go ahead.
I think iNaturalist is not the easiest thing to use.
It's not. It's not. I used it. I can't use iNaturalist.
You had a hard time with it, but many people find it.
Okay,
easy.
well, anyway, we're not deciding yet,
Okay, so that's
but
just a
iNaturalist,
recommendation for me.
yeah,
But I also think that if you want to inspire students, find out if they're already using something in the schools, because the biology.
That's a good point.
teachers will have already thought
Yeah.
of that.
and actually, that was one of the ideas, my birding friend said, involve the schools, and maybe the teacher wants to do something. Yeah, and then they might be using something, yeah. It's not that I am choosing, I'm just giving you the idea that to get the data out.
Well, the people will probably use the app they like to use. Many people already use something like that. And some of them, when you put in what you saw, it puts it into a community base so you can look up Portola Valley and see what other people have seen there. So there's already an aggregation of
Good,
that
okay.
data. It's not,
Yeah.
I don't know one that does, butterflies and plants and birds.
No, it doesn't, I don't know
A
either.
naturalist
Naturalist
does.
comes closer.
That-
than-
And it
Julie,
shows you everything on a map and it shows you pictures of
Yeah,
everything.
so that-
The feedback I got that birders don't use iNaturalist, but we don't need to discuss it right now. This is something. Fungi, yeah, fungi, yeah. Let me just see if there's a hand. There's no, Nona has her hand up. That's okay. Dave, do you?
Um,
We-
yeah, I was going to say that, for example, I know I have a bunch of birding by vision apps, but I know all the birds that have ever been in my yard pretty much, but I do use Merlin a lot because I don't know what they all sound like. So I have
Yeah.
a regular bird app, well, several of them, Audubon and iBird and et cetera. I use Merlin, and I just got one of these things that are starting to get a little popular, which is an AI camera that identifies it's a feeder. Bird Buddy's the most famous one. This is a different brand. And a bunch of people are going to want to, I mean, most people aren't going to change what they do, which I think has already been said. So, finding some way, some you can share, some you share with your buddies. I don't bother with too much of that, but I do think that per this discussion today, if we can give a list of apps and then figure out little instructions on how to get the data from each of them to wherever we want it to go. Otherwise, it's going to be too hard for people to get excited and learn a new app, I think.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you. That's good feedback.
Only other thing I can think of is we live here in this land of tech geniuses and all these young, are, learning that at age 4 or something.
How to
It might
code.
be that some of the high school kids
Mhm.
would take
Maybe.
that on as a project and
yeah.
create
Yeah.
something that would be exactly what we want.
Yeah. The reason why I brought this up today is we should not make this dependent on going to AACC with our fence permit, because this is going to take time. That's why I brought it. This is not something we can do in 3 weeks. Okay. So, okay.
Yeah, the other thing to remember is that even though maybe 75% of the town is iPhone, there's 20 to 25% like me that are Android. So if you actually want to do any custom true mobile app development, it gets kind of tricky pretty quickly.
It has to to go on Android and iPhone. It has to, whatever we are ending up. Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
that makes writing one like more of a project than
Yeah.
it would otherwise be.
Yeah. Okay. I would say let's leave the tip of the month because we haven't done the current one. Let's leave what's blooming now. And
Could I just ask a real quick one on tip of the month? Do we ever want to say that this is the perfect time for a wildflower seed sowing? Or,
We
'cause
could.
it's now, right? Isn't it like perfect timing? And if we're gonna wait until.
oh, then
Jan-
let's do it.
Just question mark, because it seemed like that might be something we could easily just say, hey, think about it.
Basically, we can easily do that. Okay. Kudos, we're still working on the old ones. The article about trapping is not done. And it doesn't matter because we have time. The really good feedback last month. And so I have started to rewrite it, and then Nona has improved on it. And it's now not just trapping, but we're starting out with a photo of a fox having a dead rat in its mouth and a photo of a red-tailed hawk. And these are photos of people who live here, and we got permission. And so it's the wildlife, which starts out with wildlife and it then goes into traps. Nona, do you want to add? Because, no, okay. So it is going to come back, yeah. And I would have showed it to you, but I had a Google Doc and then I was doing something and I lost the photos. Challenged here. All right. Committee, I would like to jump to the nature and science because I don't think anything has happened with the committee in the last week.
In the last week.
Yeah, so
nobody
we don't
met.
need to, but we need to address the nature and science event. The last thing I have seen from the committee is unchanged from last week. They had a due date of November 30th, where
So the
things,
only important thing for us, I think, tonight is the date is January 25th. It's a Town Wildlife Awareness Month afternoon. It's family oriented. I suggested to them that we might be able to do a table. The reason I did that was not that we're all needing extra work, but because I think we're trying very hard to get out into the community, the ideas behind why we're wanting changes in the fencing and what wildlife friendly fencing is, et cetera. So I was thinking that a wildlife awareness event is the perfect place to be putting that on the table and maybe having even a petition that people say, I think this is a great idea, and to have the explanation of exactly what it means and what might be desirable to change, et cetera. So we need to know if in fact we can create this table. And I was planning to lead it and be there and da-da-da-da. And then it turns out I didn't know the date when I had that all in my head. Turns out I'm going to be away for about 5 days around that date. So I can't do it. So it was not my intention to volunteer any of you to do it. But if there's some interest in doing it, I think it would be a great thing for the committee to do. If anybody's able to show up that day and do the work.
okay, so who would be able, there's also, there would have to be something written up, petition, I mean, just,
Well, I can do stuff ahead for it. And the date is
25th.
So
of January.
it's a Sunday. Okay.
It's an afternoon.
I just didn't know what day it was. I was trying to get a calendar.
And I think just, what we already have in the way of materials would suffice. We could have some rodenticide stuff there. We already have that. We've got a bunch of the conservation guideline booklets. I still have a whole box of those. So we have stuff for a table, but it would be nice to have an emphasis on.
If we preface this at the moment as wildlife friendly fencing, there would have to be stuff written up. We don't have anything on fencing that,
Not likely to be the kind of a thing we're going to be able to spend 20 minutes educating somebody. People stop by these tables. We know this from the events we already do. They stop and something catches their eye and they look at that. So, I'd riff off the bobcat thing that we already have. That's where so much of the interest lies. And that's why we're expecting that there'll be, more support for the fencing than there might otherwise be because of the idea. So same thing, I'm willing to do, if there are people to man the table, I'm willing to do a fair amount of work up
Okay.
front.
and we could get the big mountain lion this time. It would be good if it came with our
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can get the mountain lion. So the question is, do we have volunteers who would be available? 25th. Set up, there's also set up, tear down, all that stuff.
It's not as much of a problem as when we have all the flowers and all the vases and all the water. It'd be slightly easier than that. And if we don't, then I think we shouldn't spend any more time discussing. We say, sorry, we can't do it.
I don't think I'm in town that day.
Okay. You already said you're not available.
Yeah.
Teresa, you said you're not available either.
No, she had said
Right.
clearly she couldn't
So-
do it. So then, okay.
Yeah, I think we have.
We can't do
lack of-
everything.
Yeah, okay. It's too bad, but it looks like it.
And I'll communicate with them that we couldn't get it
Yeah,
together to do it.
yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. Just go down. Well, that's it. I think we're through with the agenda. An hour. And I would just like to introduce, we have Chris Morris back there, who is a guest today, who is interested in, I hope he's still interested in joining the Conservation Committee. Yeah, today was an unusual meeting. Usually it's more. And if there is nothing else to discuss.
Well, if he's really here because he's interested in joining. the
Oh, then
committee,
you should
could he
introduce
himself
yourself,
and
yes.
Tell us a thing or two about himself.
Yes, please. But you have to go to the microphone.
Hi, I'm Chris Ross. I got introduced to this group because they were checking out a tree we were having in our yard. But I think the Conservation Committee is doing a lot of things that I find pretty interesting. I've been in the area for about 30 years. We've lived in Portola for 11. I was a bio major at Stanford, but got sucked into Silicon Valley. So I've been a tech executive for the last 20 some years. And anyway, a lot of the topics came up today seem pretty interesting. I definitely have a bit of experience in quite a few of them. So if it turns out I can help, I'd love to.
Terrific.
Nice to meet you.
The next step would be that you fill out an application on the town website. I'll send you the link. Okay. Thank you. Cool. Okay. Yeah, you don't have to, the curriculum and retain. Okay, so with that then, yes, please.
I should have done this under oral communications, but I just wanted to make a plug for the council meeting on Thursday night because the council is going to be considering a bunch of changes that are required to really fully take Ford Field out of the housing element and get a new housing element approved with the 3 alternative sites, including the Fogarty property. So if you have thoughts on that you want to share with the council, come on Thursday night.
The fourth?
It's at 6:30.
Thank you.
Yeah. that's
Special
unusual.
meeting, yeah.
Yes.
The-
Oh,
yeah,
a study session,
It's
okay.
it's another study session. They're not deciding.
No decisions. We're just giving direction to the staff. They're not actually calling it a study.
Oh,
session.
I'm gonna come, thank you.
But
Yeah.
there'll be a staff report on,
It was released today, the staff report. So it's quite extensive.
Can we get access to that?
Yeah, it's publicly
It's public,
available.
okay, perfect.
Find it on the
Okay.
website under town council, or I always find it if you go to the calendar link. and then you go to
Yeah,
the
that's how I find it,
fastest
okay,
way of getting to the agenda.
all right. Okay, with that, meeting is adjourned.